I've got to ask before we jump into some of the viewer questions, like getting. I mean, you've worked with everyone first off, and that was my favorite. I loved you did a podcast with Theo Vaughn, and he like asked if you worked with Cat Williams, and you're like, dude, trust. I've worked with every
Oh my
black comic.
God.
You were just like,
And
what?
that lets me know there's a huge divide between mainstream and black comedy.
It's so
Because
wild.
I watch Rogan's podcast also, and he had no idea that Kevin, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and Eddie Murphy had dinner like 2 years ago, and they posted on social media, and everybody's like, wow, that's an iconic dinner to get everybody together. And for some reason, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union was there.
Yeah.
But Joe had no clue. And sometimes he'll have like black comics on his podcast, or like when I was with Theo, it's like they really are not in that world, at all. And I was like, and I'll be watching like, how did they not know that? Like when Theo asked me, have you ever met Cat Williams? I go, we open mic'd. I know when he was Cat in the Hat with one tooth. And he had the furry Kango. And he had the Biggie joke. He ended his show with the Biggie joke. And I'm like, do I know him?
Yeah.
We're from the hometown. We're both from Cincinnati. I was taken back.
What is that divide? Because I mean, I've noticed it too. I mean, coming up in primarily the urban side of comedy, and I can perform on both sides, and like if a joke works on one side, not the others, I kill it. Like I want to make the comedy universal, but I have noticed, I mean, it's like comedy and church are the two places that are still like super segregated like that.
I don't know. I always tell comedians, like, you don't choose your audience, they choose you. You don't choose them. You just go where people, anyway. And I also think a lot of times white comics they're a little intimidated by an all black room. So they're like, I don't even want to do that. But like you said, if you're yourself and you're authentic,
yep.
I saw Sebastian Maniscalco rip Fat Tuesday one night, rip, and it was just Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably, I bet you 14 years ago. And when I saw it, I go, oh, that guy's good. He just went, and there was a time where Fat Tuesday was the Tuesday night spot in LA. It was at the Comedy Store. That's where all the urban exploits, that's where all the Lakers hung out. You see all the rappers, all the athletes there. That was the spot, right? All the hoes was there, obviously. So we always leave that out.
We'll keep it 100. Yeah.
Come, the ball players come. I don't know who comes first, but of course.
All the chicken heads wobbled in there, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. There's a lot of girls working really hard not to work. I'll put it that way. So there was a time though where they were really starting to like bring in the iconic like white acts to do Fat Tuesday every now and then. Like I saw Dice Clay go up there. And Dice was nervous. That's the first time I'd seen him nervous.
What?
He went in front of that urban room and he killed it. He went back to the old hickory dickory jokes and shit like that. And I was watching him going, oh, he's a little nervous. You know what I mean? This isn't his audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like they announced him and it was like this, but it wasn't like what he's used to.
Yeah.
But listen, he did fine. It goes both ways. Judd Apatow saw me in Nashville and in front of my fans, my audience, and I killed. And then he does this charity thing at the Largo on La Cienega all the time. Any charity comes up, he does these big events, but he brings in like Sandler and just, David Spade. He'll bring in Beck or like Eddie Vedder will come jam out. It does these crazy shit at the Largo, but it's all for charity. So he asked me to go up one night, and it was not my audience. It was the yuppie, white California, and I had to go last after Sandler. And I go, what? So I got there, and I got a picture of my Instagram. It was Norm Macdonald. What's the guy that? God damn it, he's I don't know what his ethnicity is, Indian or something. He just did the movie on Netflix with Issa Rae.
Kumail.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I brain farted.
No, you're good.
Kumail was on the show. Adam Sandler, Judd hosted, one other guy, and I thought I'm first when I got there. And Joe was like, no, you're gonna close it out. I go, what? And then Adam goes, I'm just fucking around. I'm just gonna do a couple goofy songs and shit. Dude, it was like watching the crowd reaction was like watching Jordan and the Bulls play, and then right after that, a JV high school team came out. Right? Like they went ballistic when Adam got announced, right? And of course they were with him for his goofy songs, and I came out there, and it was great because I got him. It just took about 10 minutes, but then I brought him like into my world.
Right.
But it wasn't like the same reaction as an urban audience, but it still was fine, and everything was cool in the end. But I was just thinking, man, if that would have been 15 years ago, I would have freaked out.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, the first 10, just chalk it up to the game. Because they're coming off the Sandler high, and I got to bring them down and then kind of bring them into my world and stuff. So
that's so important for like comics to, a lot of times if you're following someone that kills, especially like just use an example from the urban world, if you follow a comic that does a bunch of music cues and closes with some big audience interactive dance, and then you got to go up there, you got to remember.
You can tell you've been in Atlanta. That's in Atlanta. It's like when I think of comedians like open mic and coming up.
Yeah.
I think what I've seen, Chicago has the strongest as far as just comedy and jokes. Like a lot of guys you haven't heard of, like well, that's really good. Atlanta, I think music bits. I think if you're on the show in Atlanta at a comedy club, who's ever gone before, if you got 2 or 3 guys going before you, somebody's doing some music bits. Trust me. But here's what I do. I don't come out. I say, if you try to close with a music bit, and I've learned this over time, and then try to bring me right up, I'll wait a minute, 2 minutes. I'll just sit in the green room, and they'll walk in there, like, hey, you're up. I go, I know. I'll be up in a minute. I'm going to let that audience breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's smart. Yeah, it's letting the audience, like you said, following Sandler and then letting the audience pick up on your pace. I think a lot of younger comics try to match the pace of the comic before them, but yeah.
And acknowledge it. I acknowledge like Sandler. I go, boy, I know you guys thought I said something like, I bet you thought like Jim Carrey was next because this shit kept going up and up. I go, nope. And I said, I even said, I'm really famous with black people, and we only have 2 mixed people here tonight. And there was like 2 mixed girls in the audience. I go, so fine, I got 1 fan here.
Hilarious.
And because the mixed girls knew me. Well, you just gotta acknowledge what's going on around you. But that comes with time. Don't try to just go like, oh, this is my best joke, I'm gonna hit it. But I think you're right. We try to match the energy instead of like letting the audience take a breath. Take a breath.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Yeah. And I think that kind of ties into our first question. Mitt Wolf is from Chicago, and he said, yay, yay, Chi-Town. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, man.
Word. Bobby J said, all this goat talk right now got my head spinning. Cool. Goat. Yeah, goat talk. Well, you worked with a sheep back in the Dizzy, didn't you?
Who?
Didn't you work with sheep? You had a summer job where you were working on sheep or something?
Yeah, the lambs.
Lambs. Oh, okay.
The lamb co-op. Yeah, no, I think it was sheep. Was it sheep co-op or lamb co-op? It was, I was in an FFA in high school, Future Farmers of America.
Uh-huh.
And I worked at a strawberry farm my summer going into my sophomore year of high school. So after my freshman, sophomore. But I also, there's anybody that was in FFA that didn't live on a farm, they had a, okay, sorry about that. Somebody's calling. They had a sheep co-op. Yeah, it was sheep, one lamb. You were right.
Oh,
sheep.
Nice. Yeah. All right.
And I was so mad because I raised 6 of those sheep that summer while I was picking strawberries. So I'm the one that was feeding them, bathing them. I sheared them. So it wasn't a goat, it was a sheep because goats don't get sheared.
Uh-huh.
So the sheep, I sheared the sheep, and then we go to the fair. And the other 5 kids that didn't have sheep, we drew numbers out of a hat. Dude, I picked like my number was the most malnourished sheep. And when you're showing sheep, the sheep's here, and the judge is he does this type of shit. And you can't ever be on the side of the judge. So when he's there, he's always got to get a good look at the sheep. You can't ever be blocking the sheep. And I remember just thinking, God, he's like frowning at my sheep, man. And then one of the sheep got like 5th place in the county fair, and I was so pissed because I raised that sheep. I go, that chick had nothing to do with that fucking sheep. That was my sheep. I wanted that 5th place ribbon, man. She didn't shit.
I love how personally you still take it. You're like, man, that was it. That was my big break.
That was my seat, man. I was looking at her like this.
So in bringing in some of the young comics watching here, I think this is a good one to start with here. This is from Amanda O, asking, how did you find and refine your comedic voice?
I mean, every comic's different. It just has to be organic. The more you get on stage, the more you find your voice, the more you find your cadence, your delivery, what's working for you. It's almost like if you ask a comic, how did you make it, or quote unquote make it, or where was your big break? Every comic's going to give you a different story. It's just, stage time is the key to all this. That's why I say don't take comedy classes. When people take them long 5-week comedy classes, I'm like this. The only way you get better is to get on stage.
Yep.
That's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yep. You can take a class like how do I structure a joke or write a joke, but in the end, it's just stage time. Everybody's different.
Yeah. I think it can help with learning techniques and taking off the learning curve of actually learning how to write funny stuff, but you've got to take it to the stage. You won't be funny in the mirror. You've got to learn the language on stage.
That's it. It's the only way you get better.
Yeah. Thanks for watching Hot Breath of Verse. If you want to support the show, go join our Patreon. But if you don't like supporting a comic on the hustle, at least click the watch more videos to keep us alive in the algorithm. Hot breath.